Okay, it's about time that we give you some updated Dynasty quarterback tiers and rankings. Do us a massive favor. Go ahead and drop a like on this video. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. And I want you to comment below right now who's a quarterback that is just too disrespected in Dynasty. Maybe we'll talk about them. Maybe we won't. But hey, if you want access to my rankings, Badake's, all your favorite content creators, and more, go ahead and use our code LAND, L-A-N-D, at flockfantasy.com/land. Not only are you going to get all of our rankings, but if you choose that Mother Flocker tier, Badake and I are going to grade one of your Dynasty teams on a live stream. Okay, so Badake, we have 5 tiers to look at today.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty confident where I currently stand with these quarterbacks. Yeah, I feel very, very confident about my tiers 1 to 5. I think the quarterback position in Dynasty right now is maybe the one that I feel the most confident in ranking at this point after the draft, after free agency. So why don't we start here in tier 5 and we'll work our way up to number 1. So who do you have here in tier 5?
I have 2 with tags here in my tier 5. Yeah. Great quarterback, obviously, got set back with all those injuries and concussions. Sure. A lot of people are worried about him, but if he would have played a full season, he would have finished within the top 5, top 8 range of quarterbacks, and we probably would have been having a different conversation about Tua tags. But he is one of my quarterbacks in my tier 5.
100% agree. A huge buy for us last offseason will remain a huge buy for us this offseason, at least for me. I think you would say the same.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even in points per game, more points per game last year than Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert. Just a little bit too disrespected. The injury concerns, with the head injuries, are the only reason that anyone's getting him at a discount right now. Yeah. He was on track to finish, top 6 or 7 at the position.
Yeah. Exactly.
But absolutely believe he should be in these top 15 or top 5 tiers. Absolutely agree. Who else you got?
Also, I have my boy Danny Dimes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Another great finish, right? Top 9, top 8 quarterback as well.
Quarterback 9 on the year
for Daniel Jones. Not only that, he rushed for, if I'm not mistaken, for over 700 yards on the ground as well, and I think that can continue to happen. Then when them getting creative on the ground. Not only that, them bringing in Darren Waller and signed to a longer contract extension. So you have to feel confident in a weird way with Daniel Jones, with the security and the weapons they have around him, especially with Brian Daboll there. So he's in my tier 5.
I would definitely agree. You add Waller, a quarterback 9 season you already had. Now, is Waller make you feel comfortable long term? No, but the contract should.
The contract,
and
exactly.
I think the contract and the coaching staff should make us feel confident.
Exactly.
In that quarterback room. So yeah, I agree. The only other quarterback I would have in this tier, and there's part of me that wants to move him up, but that would be Dak Prescott.
Okay.
He's my quarterback 14, and yeah, I think you could make a case for him being in tier 4, but my tier 4 has a very specific purpose. So currently have Dak Prescott there. Again, you can make a case for him being, a little bit higher. It's just the age really that's slightly concerning for me.
Yeah, I have.
It's not like he's like 35 or anything, but still.
Nah, for sure.
And the play last year with the interceptions also slightly concerning, but for fantasy he should be fine. Sorry.
No, exactly. For fantasy he should be fine. I have Dak Prescott in tier 4. So I kind of feel confident having him there. I'm not really a strong person to advocate for Dak Prescott, to be completely honest with you. And he didn't have the best. I mean, if you look at the games, right? I mean, he didn't miss 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle of the season, or 4 to 6 games. 17.8 fantasy points per game. I wonder what he was on pace on. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he definitely would have been within the top 12 without a doubt. So
yeah, I find it tough to put him in a different tier to Daniel Jones and Tua, because he didn't. I mean, so he missed time, but he, even on a points per game basis, he was less points per game than both of those two. And you can make a case he has better weapons than Tua, better weapons than Daniel Jones, but not Tua. So when I look at those two, I just don't know that. Again, thinking tier based. Okay, if Dak's not available, am I passing on Tua or Daniel Jones? Maybe. That's a tough one to call, but yeah, just not a player who on a points per game basis did you any favors last year, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what they tried to address this year with bring in Brandon Cooks, and hopefully that can help
Sure.
him. I would also say with Dak Prescott, when you really think of dynasty startups and you think of that window maybe in the middle of the second, end of the second there, that turn, Dak Prescott is always that last quarterback you see
Sure.
go off the board until you see Daniel Jones or Tua within another round and a half. So I think that's where I kind of think of. I think of when I make my tiers as well. So yeah. Once again, not trying to advocate for him, but
his lowest completion percentage since 2019, highest interception rate in his entire career. I just have some slight concerns. Just not the year that gives me a ton of confidence. Look, let me just explain my next tier.
Okay.
And then maybe I'm not sure if we're gonna see eye to eye, but maybe we'll be able to kind of form a conversation. My tier 4 is strictly rookie quarterbacks. That's where I'd have C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson. All the quarterbacks in my tier 3, I feel like are solid, guaranteed hits in a super flex type of pillar quarterbacks that you could build your teams around. Tier 4, these rookies, they've proven nothing yet. And yes, they have the draft capital. Yes, they look great. Yes, Anthony Richardson has a rushing upside, but they've proven nothing at this point. So I guess you could advocate for Dak Prescott being in that conversation. But when I look at my tier 3, those are all quarterbacks that I think absolutely, I feel 100% confident that they have shown me they can be successful fantasy quarterbacks. They're young enough, and I want to build around them. There's longevity there. Whereas this tier 4 is just my rookies. I feel good about them still. I like these rookie quarterbacks, but they haven't shown us anything just yet.
No, I hear you. I have my tiers are set a little bit differently, but I have also, once again, Dak Prescott in there, and then Kyler Murray.
Okay.
And I only have one player in my tier 3. And the reason why I kind of have that, once again, I think of the rookie draft, or not rookie drafts, I think of dynasty startups and kind of where these guys go. And I think when I see, this is why they're in tier 4, because I think you can kind of pick your poison. You can kind of pick your poison when you really...
So you have Kyler here in
tier
4?
Yeah, I have Kyler and Dak Prescott in tier 4. You can go any single way. And we could have the argument, and you did bring it up. They don't have the history in the NFL as of yet, but with the draft capital, you kind of hope and believe these guys get drafted kind of the same ways we thought of, the Justin Fields, the Trevor Lawrence, and you hope that with that draft capital and, the talent that they bring in, they kind of excel and move up into, your third tier, your second tier, for the years to come. So I think in this tier 4, I can agree they don't have the history behind them like a Kyler or like a Dak Prescott, and I think that's why I'm saying here my tier 4 is okay, pick your poison, but I also have Kyler and Dak Prescott here.
So I brought a video that released today that we're recording, which this will probably be out in a couple days or so, but I brought a video on Kyler Murray. I think he is one of the, by far, maybe outside of Geno Smith, one of the easiest buy lows right now in Dynasty football. One of the easiest. And where do you have Kyler ranked below some of these rookies?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you're not the only one. A lot of people out there are doing this. They have Kyler ranked below these rookies who, yes, have the draft capital. Guess who else had the draft capital? Kyler Murray, first overall pick. All these quarterbacks that people have ranked ahead of Kyler Murray, they've proven absolutely nothing. The only thing that people don't like about Kyler Murray is they don't like Kyler Murray. Genuinely, that is the only thing that they don't like about him. I put a poll up on Twitter and I asked people, hey, with these 3 rookie quarterbacks, what would you need in their first 4 years to consider them elite quarterbacks to start their season? Young elite quarterbacks. What would you need to put that elite tag on them? And 82% of people voted for exactly what Kyler Murray has done in his first 4 years. 82% of people, probably without knowing, replied to that poll and basically said, yeah, if they did what Kyler Murray did in the first 4 years, they would be considered elite. Kyler Murray is 25 years old at the time of recording this. He has a long-term contract from his team. He's got, in his first 4 years, he has finished top 12 in points per game every single season. And if you look at his sophomore season onwards, he's been 9th in points per game. I just think everyone is ranking these rookie quarterbacks ahead of Kyler Murray when Kyler Murray is already giving you what you are hoping, best case scenario, those 3 quarterbacks are going to give you. And he has a long-term contract from the team. And he's proven on multiple occasions that he can be a successful quarterback 1 every single year. I don't understand, not just from you, Badake, but from everyone. Let me know in the chat. Like, help me understand in the comments below. Why is Kyler Murray being faded so hard? I put up a poll on our YouTube channel a couple days ago asking people, hey, who would you prefer out of these quarterbacks? And Anthony Richardson is just like by 20, 30, 40% outperforming Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, Dak Prescott. I get it. I get the rushing upside. Kyler Murray, again, 4 years, top 12 in points per game. I just don't understand. Like, what's the issue? Okay, ACL, is that the concern? Tell me, Badake, what's your main concern with Kyler Murray? I know that you're just not a fan of him. We've talked about that before, but what is the concern? I don't understand the hate of Kyler Murray.
I think there's I
don't get it.
I think there's a lot to kind of, pick apart here with Kyler Murray. Yeah, he does get this long-term contract, but there's question marks for character and true commitment as a player. He has an ACL injury. His team is essentially in a rebuild mode with Kyler Murray at the moment. And I feel like, we can argue that some of these teams that these rookies quarterback have went to are far along that process as well. DeAndre Hopkins could be moving. Hollywood Brown is still not re-signed. And all these things, once again, does that help the situation for Kyler Murray for his argument? Absolutely. I think if all those things if the Arizona Cardinals, this is what I would say, if the Arizona Cardinals were a lot further ahead and Kyler Murray every single year, kind of helped this team make it to the playoffs. And I guess, and I think this is what's difficult, right? Because you think of a fantasy perspective. So he's getting the points in a fantasy perspective without a doubt, but I think those are the question marks, I would say. When I think of Kyler Murray.
I wholeheartedly don't agree.
And that's
Anthony
fine.
Richardson, okay, he has Josh Downs, he's got Michael Pittman. Bryce Young, okay, he has Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo, if that turns into something. CJ Stroud, he's got John Mechie. And the Texans just gave their first-round pick to Kyler Murray, who, yeah, he has D-Hop. If D-Hop leaves, okay, fair enough. You have Hollywood Brown. They just traded a first-round pick for Hollywood Brown. They're going to re-sign him. They're not going to just literally give away a first-round pick.
And I'm not saying that.
Well, those were your concerns, so I'm just going to
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I say, arguably, they can be those can be some things. But look, once again, I have Kyler Murray in the same tier, so you can pick your poison. I don't think
I don't understand that. That's
and
what
for
I'm
me, for me, I just don't see that. I don't see it at the moment. We always project when we think of rookies, and I feel like the same thing could have been said with Trevor Lawrence at this time. The same thing could have been said with Justin Fields at the time when it came down to someone like a Dak Prescott, when it came down to someone like a Deshaun Watson at the time. And now we're going through the same cycle again, and the next year is just going to be like, well, we should have just drafted these rookies. So I think that's what that's what we do in fantasy. People always project. And this is what we're doing. We're projecting that all three of these guys are going to finish or be better than Kyler Murray at some point in time.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah, we project in Dynasty. Totally agree. Kyler Murray is 25 years old. He's 25 years old. If you're projecting into the future, why is that? I just don't understand.
And once again, that was the same thing. That was the same thing with all those other quarterbacks.
Sure, but Kyler Murray has 4 years of proven he's done it. And he's young. And he has a long-term commitment from the team.
Right. Oh.
I mean, he's literally, like I said, 82% of people said if Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, or CJ Stroud gave you exactly what Kyler Murray did in his first 4 years, they would consider them elite. But somehow, Kyler Murray is being disrespected. I don't know, man. I don't understand it. He's easily one of the best buys, in my opinion. And, a lot of people say, well, Kyler Murray won't even be a Cardinal in 2024. Fine. Where does he go that it's worse off? Where does he go that it's a worse situation?
I would say
you don't trade for that contract and then Kyler Murray is not the franchise quarterback.
I would say this. I'm not disagreeing that Kyler Murray is not a great buy low. I think we both bought him at two separate times in this offseason saying that he should be bought, because I'm not disagreeing. that
Sure.
he's 25 years old and he's young and he has that proven stuff. So, you go get Kyler Murray at the point. I mean, at whatever point, whatever price you think is best for you. I'm just
Sure.
saying a lot of people, including myself, are projecting these quarterbacks to have a better to follow those footsteps of Kyler Murray. And you're once again we are just recycling here. We are drafting these younger quarterbacks because by the time they hit that peak where Kyler Murray's at, Kyler Murray is going to be 29, 28 years old, where the rushing upside may not be there.
That's the issue. We're just assuming that they're going to get there.
Once again, we do that with every single person.
Yeah, but I'm saying we know who Kyler Murray is and what he has done.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's why I can't wrap my head around.
And that's fine. And I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you. And that's why I have them all in the same tier. This is where you pick your poison. That's why they're not different tiers for me.
Yeah. Look, I think from what it sounds like, we're gonna see these drastically different. Mm-hmm. So why don't we just do what we've been doing, and we'll have a look at both of our tiers. So I'll lay mine out first, and then we'll have a look at yours if that works best, because you said you only had one player in your tier 3. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we, just for the sake of us both being able to explain our tiers, I think it would be easier if we just did them separately. I could understand recycling with like Dak Prescott, for example, right? He's been like a reliable quarterback one, entering his 30s. We've seen like a decline in his play. I just personally can't understand Kyler Murray being disrespected like he is, in my mind, in the Dynasty community at the moment. So I would have all those rookies in tier 4. Again, I love all these rookies. Totally love them. Love Bryce Young. Have a ton of Bryce Young. I like CJ Stroud. Anthony Richardson, one of the best athletes to come out ever, period, right? Let alone at the quarterback position. Absolutely, if he plays 17 games, he will rush for 1,000 yards. I hear you. But again, Kyler Murray has done exactly what people would need to be considered elite in his first 4 years. I think I got to put a little more respect on his name personally. I'll put him in this tier 3. That's also where I have Deshaun Watson, who had a rough year last year, but wasn't really able to be around the team, got the playbook late. Now he has an entire offseason to be around his crew, to be around his team. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's ready to go in the same direction, one vision. Right. No more waiting till, the third quarter of the season, fourth quarter of the season, if you will. This is also where I have Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, and Trevor Lawrence. I'll put Trevor Lawrence there. Lawrence, I think you could project into tier 2. Absolutely. Calvin Ridley, you add to that team. So I hear people, if they're out there saying, hey, like maybe Trevor Lawrence should be a tier up. But when you look at my tier 2, I've got just some absolute heavyweights. We've got Justin Herbert. We've got Jalen Hurts here. We've got Joe Burrow. You could absolutely interchange these two.
Right.
But when I'm looking at a dynasty startup, I want to be in that top 5. I want a Herbert. I want a Hurts. I want a Burrow. If I'm not able to get those players in a super flex league, sure, I'm happy to get like a Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Watson, Murray.
Yeah.
I still think all those guys are well worthy of a first round pick, but I feel much better about those tier 2 players. Those are like the guys that you send 3, 4, 5 first round picks. 5 might be a little too much, right? But it depends on what your team looks like. And then in here in tier 1 is where I would have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Patty's been my quarterback 1 since that MVP season, his first one. He's remained there. Josh Allen, I mean, what can you really say against Josh Allen? The interceptions were up a little bit this year, but overall for fantasy, he was still fantastic. He's still absolutely unquestionably the franchise leader of this team. And you add Dalton Cade, my favorite receiving tight end in the class. I think he's got a good, bright future ahead of him. I think you could actually make the case for, because some people out there would say, I think Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts should be in tier 1. And I think Trevor Lawrence should also be in tier 2. I can make a case for that. Totally. I can make a case for Lamar Jackson being here in tier 2. For Justin Fields, I hear people there. That's just how I currently have it constructed. Trevor Lawrence, if you have him in tier 2, you're projecting him to take that next step. And absolutely no sign. I mean, all signs point towards him doing that. As much as I love Calvin Ridley, let's make sure that he is still the Calvin Ridley of old. So that's how my tiers currently are represented. You look at Kyler in that tier 3. Some people might say that's too high for Kyler Murray. Well, when Kyler Murray's healthy, he's battling with all these guys. So, and he's younger than most of them outside of Fields and Lawrence, right? He's younger than Jackson. He's younger than Watson. Has the same type of commitment. So when healthy, he's absolutely battling with those teams. I mean, I think he was quarterback 6 before going down last year. So yeah, this is how I would have my tiers laid out right now. Like I said, I personally feel very confident in this. I would feel very confident going into a startup draft, looking at these sort of rankings. Hey, if you're in the top 2, get Mahomes, get Allen. These guys, unquestionably, those absolute pillars of your team. And then tier 2, you could say almost the same thing. So that's how my tiers currently look. But why don't we go ahead and look at how you have it laid out then?
It's essentially very similar. You just move Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts to tier 1. You move Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, and Trevor Lawrence to tier 2.
Okay.
And then Kyler Murray down, essentially, with Dak Prescott up. So that's how it is.
Sure.
And this is kind of how I see it. You can get, and you can have the argument of putting Justin Herbert in tier 1. You get, these are your top 4 picks, top 5 picks in your draft. And then you have your middle quarterbacks, maybe like from the 105 to the 108, 109, however you feel. And then Deshaun Watson, wherever you want to take him from the 109 to the 112, that's where he is. But I think there is a gap there, a little bit of a gap, because that's where you can get your Brees Hall. I mean, not Brees Hall, your Bijan Robinson, your CeeDee Lambs, right? You can even, I mean, at some point in time, Kyle Pitts was going that early. Not anymore, right? You think of A.J. Browns, the Garrett Wilsons. You can have a conversation there, and then you can go for any of these quarterbacks in my tier 4, and once again, pick your poison in which order you really want to go, because I think, once again, this is where you're kind of projecting these guys to be and hope that they're going to be successful quarterbacks. And one day I'm talking about the rookie quarterbacks, and then you think of Daniel Jones and Tua probably at the end of the 3rd. Right, maybe end of the 3rd, early 4th. Sometimes we see Tua or Daniel Jones mid 3rd, and then maybe a bit too high for us. But that's how my tiers are built.
Gotcha. So let me just ask a quick question then. So with Deshaun Watson being in his own tier, right? Do you feel that much more confident in Watson over Kyler? Just to be, again, the Kyler advocate here, that they're deserving of different tiers.
I think I do, and once again, there's a lot of factors that kind of go into that. The team around him, the weapons, the top 5 consistent finishes, essentially every single year outside of his rookie and this past year. I mean, great passer. He can also get it done with his legs as well. I guess kind of like Kyler Murray, but I think I just feel a little bit more confident in Deshaun Watson and kind of where he is going to be going here. Yeah, that's it.
Totally. I hear you. All right. Well, I mean, I like I said, I think you could have made a case for Burrow, Hurts in tier 1 if you wanted to. Again, I think the only reason that I see it differently is because of how I utilize my tiers. When I'm on the board, I'm not considering personally Burrow or Hurts over Mahomes or Allen. But like I said earlier, again, I think people can absolutely make the case for it, for sure.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Lamar, Justin Fields, and Trevor Lawrence, I think all of those you can make a case for being in tier 2. So yeah, I don't think it's absolutely crazy at all. The only thing I think we disagree on the most would really be the Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray spot, yeah, for sure. And once again, pick your poison. I feel like it's just always. I think it's just always recycled. I think we can have the same conversation we had a couple years ago with Trey Lance, or the same conversation we had a couple years ago with Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. So I think it's, once again,
I think I hear you, but when I hear the word recycle, that to me indicates throwing out something old to bring in something new. Right.
Sure.
And if we're talking about Trey Lance, how many starts does he have compared to Kyler? I don't know if I agree.
And I think I'm not disagreeing on that. I'm saying, I guess, like when you think of at the point where Trey Lance, right? Like Trey Lance was getting taken ahead of Dak Prescott, ahead of, I can't really think of, I just know for the first one off the top of my head was definitely Dak Prescott. And at the time we were talking about how Dak Prescott was being disrespected, right? And he was like, well, Dak Prescott that year was, if I'm not mistaken, top 5, top 8 quarterback, why are we taking Trey Lance, who we don't even know is going to be starting at the time? So once again, the same, and I guess maybe that's what I mean by recycle.
You're actually making a case for me there when you say that, right?
No,
in some way, you're kind of making a case for what I'm saying.
Yeah, and in some ways, I'm making a case for like, well, in other perspectives, the rookie quarterbacks are. I feel more confident when you think of the Trevor Lawrence, when you think of the Justin Fields. That's what I'm saying. So like, I agree. Like the disrespect is in some way there, but at the same time, people like to go with the younger quarterbacks, and I think that is what I'm advocating for. And
I hear you. I think what I'm advocating for is oftentimes people look too much at youth rather than proven production in Dynasty.
For sure.
I think we see that kill people's Dynasty teams.
And we've seen that. We've seen in the past, like you're right. We see in the past people kill it with, I mean, unfortunately with Trey Lance, right? I mean,
sure. Absolutely.
And that's just kind of an unfortunate circumstance there, honestly.
Yeah.
But
And that's, I feel like we got to learn from that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
Look, we see it differently. I think if you're watching this video for the first time, you might be like, wow, this channel is a little bit more aggressive or like disagree. Like they disagree with each other a lot. They talk very candidly. Yeah, look, we're good friends. We'll probably play Call of Duty later tonight and, you know, talk trash to each other. Like you just don't get this kind of stuff on most channels because Badake and I, we don't really hold back. We very openly say exactly what we think. So hopefully you guys can appreciate that. Maybe you think that we're too aggressive. Let us know. It's fine. But I'd also be really, really curious to hear everyone's thoughts in the chat. I think the main names that we really brought up there, Kyler Murray was a huge name. And I guess these rookie quarterbacks, like those are the four names I'd love to hear people's opinions on. But I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Do us a massive favor. Drop a like on the video just to show some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. And if you want to see the running back and wide receiver version of these, they're already out on our channel. So all up. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.